This sign means A. You must turn left or right. B. You are approaching a T intersection. C. The road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. D. You are on an overpass above a divided highway. C. The road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. This sign indicates that the road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. A divided highway is two one-way roadways separated by a median or guide rail. When a car with bright headlights drives toward you at night, you should A. Stop until the other driver passes. B. Look below their headlights. C. Glance toward the right edge of your lane. C. Glance toward the right edge of your lane. To avoid being blinded when driving at night, do not look directly at the headlights of oncoming cars. Instead, look toward the right edge of the road until the oncoming driver has passed. You are approaching an intersection when the traffic light changes from green to solid yellow. You should A. Consider it the same as a caution sign and continue through the intersection. B. Stop immediately. C. Stop before entering the intersection, unless you are too close to stop safely. D. Speed up to get through the intersection before the red light appears. C. Stop before entering the intersection, unless you are too close to stop safely. When approaching an intersection with a solid yellow traffic light, slow to a stop before entering the intersection, if it is safe to do so. If you can't stop safely, drive carefully through the intersection. You are driving on the freeway. The vehicle in front of you is a large truck. You should drive A. Closely behind the truck in bad weather because the driver can see farther ahead than you can. B. Farther behind the truck than you would when following a passenger vehicle. C. No more than one car length behind the truck so the driver can see you. B. Farther behind the truck than you would when following a passenger vehicle. When you follow so closely behind a truck that you cannot see the truck driver's side view mirrors, the trucker cannot see you and has no way of knowing you are there. Tailgating a truck, or any vehicle, is dangerous because you take away your own cushion of safety if the vehicle in front of you stops quickly.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
If an oncoming driver is heading toward you in your lane, you should A. Blow your horn, steer right, and accelerate. B. Blow your horn, steer left, and brake. C. Blow your horn, steer right, and brake. D. Stay in the center of your lane, blow your horn, and brake. C. Blow your horn, steer right, and brake. If another vehicle is approaching you head-on in your lane, you should first honk your horn to attract attention. If the other driver does not move over, try to escape to the right. If you swerve left and the other driver corrects at the last instant, you will still crash. If a collision is unavoidable, brake firmly and steadily. Every mile per hour you slow down will reduce the impact. Who must wear seat belts in a moving vehicle? A. Only passengers on the driver's side of the car. B. All passengers and not the driver. C. All of the vehicle's occupants, including the driver. C. All of the vehicle's occupants, including the driver. The use of safety belts is required by law. Everyone in a moving vehicle must properly use their seat belt. This road sign means A. Road construction ahead. B. The road ahead curves left then right. C. The road ahead curves right then left. C. The road ahead curves right then left. Warning signs are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that the upcoming road will curve right, followed by a curve to the left. Drivers should adjust their speed to safely continue on the road. Which drivers are subject to the South Carolina point system? A. Permit holders. B. All drivers. C. Intermediate drivers only. D. Drivers over 65 years of age. B. All drivers. A license to drive confers a privilege, not a right. You may keep this privilege only as long as you drive safely. Your license will be suspended if you accumulate 12 points for violations committed inside or outside of the state. A pentagon-shaped sign is a A. Stop sign. B. Regulatory sign. C. School zone or school crossing sign. C. School zone or school crossing sign. A five-sided sign is used to alert drivers to a school zone. Some pentagonal signs specifically indicate crosswalks within school zones where children or other pedestrians may be present. When turning left from a two-way street onto a one-way street, you should A. Turn into any lane. B. Turn into first lane. C. Turn into second lane. A flashing yellow light at an intersection means that you should A. Slow down and proceed with care. B. Continue normally through the intersection. C. Stop and proceed when a green light appears. D. Stop and proceed when the way is clear. A. Slow down and proceed with care. A flashing yellow light at an intersection means caution. If you approach such a light, slow down, look, and proceed with care. If you are driving near a large commercial vehicle, you should A. Follow the large vehicle closely to reduce wind drag on your vehicle. B. Avoid driving beside it for long stretches of time. C. Drive on its right side when on curves and hills. B. Avoid driving beside it for long stretches of time. Because large commercial vehicles have large blind spots on each side, you should avoid driving beside them for long periods of time. Which of the following statements about driving speed is true? A. As your speed increases, the chance of a fatality increases. B. As your speed increases, so should your following distance. C. Both of the above. C. Both of the above. As driving speeds increase, the chance of a fatality in the case of a collision increases. If you are going faster than 80 miles per hour, you have almost no chance of living through a crash. The speed you drive affects your stopping distance, so you should increase your following distance as you increase your speed. What does this road sign mean? A. You must turn right. B. No right turns permitted. C. Right turns permitted on a red light. B. No right turns permitted. This sign prohibits right turns. It is illegal to turn right at an intersection where this sign is posted. You may drive around or under a gate that is being lowered or raised at a railroad crossing. A. As long as an approaching train is not too close. B. If your vehicle can do so without damaging the gate. C. If you first look carefully in both directions. D. Under no circumstances. D. Under no circumstances. Flashing red lights, lowered crossing gates, and/or bells at a railroad crossing mean that you must come to a complete stop. You must not go across the tracks until the lights and bells have stopped and the crossing gates are completely up. Do not drive around or under a gate that is moving up or down. When a stop is required at an intersection and no markings appear to indicate a stop line or crosswalk, a driver A. is not required to stop. B. is required to slow down to make sure crossing traffic is clear. C. should stop only at a place where they can see at least 200 feet on either side, even if they have to enter the intersecting roadway. D. should stop where they have a clear view of approaching traffic before they enter the intersecting roadway. D. should stop where they have a clear view of approaching traffic before they enter the intersecting roadway. If there is no stop line or crosswalk, you should stop at the point nearest to the intersecting roadway where you can get a view of approaching traffic. You should not enter the intersecting roadway to gain a better view. This sign means A. heavy traffic ahead. B. do not enter. C. railroad crossing. D. yield. B. do not enter. This sign means that it is not safe for drivers to enter the indicated road or driveway from their current direction. If you come across one of these signs, you should immediately turn around and drive a different way. You should never park a vehicle. A. within 50 feet of a railroad crossing. B. within 20 feet of a crosswalk. C. within 30 feet of any flashing signal located on the side of a roadway. D. all of the above. D. all of the above. Locations where it is prohibited to park include within 50 feet of a railroad crossing, within 20 feet of a crosswalk at an intersection, and within 30 feet of a signal light, stop sign, or flashing beacon on the side of the roadway. When approaching railroad tracks, you should A. look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop. B. speed up to cross the tracks before the gate is lowered. C. try to drive around a lowered gate. D. not pay attention to how many tracks there are to cross. A. look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop. When approaching railroad tracks, you should look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop for trains or other vehicles that may be using the rails. Stopping distances and the severity of collisions. A. decrease as a vehicle's speed increases. B. are not affected by a vehicle's speed. C. increase as a vehicle's speed increases. C. increase as a vehicle's speed increases. Excessive vehicle speed can have disastrous effects. As a vehicle's speed increases, the potential impact of a collision also increases, elevating the possibility of serious injury and death. Increase your following distance as your speed increases to ensure that you will be able to stop safely if needed. A driver entering public traffic from a driveway or private road. A. has the right of way. B. should yield to drivers already on the public road. C. may force their way into traffic. D. can assume that other drivers will change lanes to make room. B. should yield to drivers already on the public road. If you are entering traffic from a driveway or private road, you should yield to drivers already on the public road. Merge safely into traffic when you are able to do so. This sign means A. Left turn yield on green. B. One way. C. Cattle crossing. D. Two-way left turn. A. Left turn yield on green. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign indicates that drivers turning left at a green light must yield to oncoming traffic and may complete the turn when it is safe to do so. When driving under low visibility conditions due to fog, you should A. Turn on your high beam headlights. B. Slow down and use your low beam headlights. C. Increase your speed so you do not cause an accident. B. Slow down and use your low beam headlights. When driving in fog, you should slow down and use your low beam lights. If the fog is so dense that you cannot see, pull off the road and wait for the fog to clear. When you see or hear an emergency vehicle coming, you should A. Stop immediately and let the vehicle pass. B. Drive as far toward the right side of the road as is safe and stop. C. Proceed slowly and permit the vehicle to pass. D. Keep moving slowly, staying to the right side of the road. B. Drive as far toward the right side of the road as is safe and stop. When driving on a two-lane roadway or undivided highway, you must yield to an emergency vehicle using its lights and/or siren, regardless of the direction from which it is approaching. Immediately drive as near as possible to the right side of the road and stop, taking care not to stop within an intersection. It is best to keep a space cushion? A. Only in back of your vehicle. B. Only on the left and right sides of your vehicle. C. Only in front of the vehicle. D. On all sides of the vehicle. D. On all sides of the vehicle. To ensure that you will have time to react to hazards on the roadway, it is best to keep a cushion of space on all sides of your vehicle. Do not crowd vehicles to your left and right sides. Which of the following statements about railroad crossings is true? A. It is against the law to go around lowered gates at a crossing. B. You must stop at a railroad crossing when directed to do so by a flagger. C. Not all railroad crossings are equipped with flashing red signals and gates. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You must stop at a railroad crossing when directed to do so by a flagger, stop sign, or warning devices, such as gates or flashing lights. Not all railroad crossings are equipped with such devices. It is against the law to drive around lowered railroad crossing gates. This sign means A. All traffic must turn. B. Turn right at the intersection. C. Parking area ahead. D. Crossroad ahead. Watch for traffic. D. Crossroad ahead. Watch for traffic. This sign warns of the presence of a crossroad ahead. If you encounter an aggressive driver, you should A. Challenge them. B. Get out of their way. C. Speed up. B. Get out of their way. Drivers must respect and cooperate with all other road users and conform to specific rules in order to maintain order and to avoid crashes. When encountering an aggressive driver, it is safest to just get out of their way. Always avoid competing with other drivers. You are driving when it starts to sleet or snow. You should A. Keep your windshield and mirrors clear. B. Allow additional distance between your vehicle and the vehicles that you are following. C. Approach all vehicles with caution. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. In snowy weather, keep your windshield and mirrors clear. Increase your following distance when driving in wet and cold weather because a slippery road surface will increase the distance needed for your vehicle to stop. When making a turn, you must fill in the blank your speed. A. Increase. B. Maintain. C. Vary. D. Reduce.